Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Animation Guide series. Toy Story 5 recently released, continuing the 31-year legacy of the franchise. It comes 7 years after Toy Story 4, which was a massive hit. Here's a surface dive into everything you need to know about it. For this episode, we shall be looking at the basic storyline without giving away too many spoilers, the story behind the movie and its inspirations, critics and fans' reception, the general performance of the movie, and finally, is it really worth your time? The general plot of the movie explores how modern technology is changing the way children play and socialize, especially compared to how kids used to spend their time playing with toys and going outside. At the beginning, we are introduced to Bonnie, who is now 8 years old. She's still a sweet and imaginative kid who loves her toys, but she's having trouble making friends because many of the other children around her are interested in their tablets and screens. This makes Bonnie feel left out, and eventually, her parents get her a new smart tablet called Lilypad. But Lilypad isn't just an ordinary tablet. She becomes Bonnie's new favorite, encouraging her to connect with other friends digitally through an app called The Pond. As Bonnie becomes more interested in technology, Jessie and the other toys begin to worry that traditional playtime is disappearing. So Jessie takes the lead in trying to help Bonnie reconnect with her toys and make real-life friendships. During the mission, Jessie and Bullseye become separated from others and end up on their own adventure, which also leads Jessie to confront parts of her past. A lot happens along the way, but ultimately, the toys discover that technology isn't necessarily the enemy. The real goal is finding balance between technology, imagination, and good old-fashioned play. The movie was directed by Stanton, who's already very well known in animation for directing films such as Finding Nemo and Wall-E. He co-directed Toy Story 5 with Kenna, who also co-wrote the screenplay. The main inspiration behind the movie came from a very modern anxiety, children growing up surrounded by screens instead of traditional toys and imaginative play. Stanton described the core problem of the movie as the realization that nobody's really playing with toys anymore. But the filmmakers didn't want to simply make technology the villain. Instead, they wanted to explore what technology means for children and how it can change the way they play, socialize, and experience the world. And that's where the movie's main conflict comes from: toys versus tech. Overall, the movie has been received very positively. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it around an 8, with both critics and audiences responding well to it. At the time of writing, Toy Story 5 sits around 92% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics and 94% from audiences. Critics generally praised the animation, emotional storytelling, and the way the movie tackles a very modern issue, although some felt the franchise was beginning to show signs of fatigue and questioned whether another Toy Story was really necessary. Interestingly, Toy Story 5 also became something of a Rotten Tomatoes record breaker for the franchise. It had the highest audience score while also having the lowest critic score of the 5 main films, although its critic score is still very high. So while critics had some reservations, audiences seemed to embrace the nostalgia, the emotional story, and especially Jessie's expanded role. At the box office, Toy Story 5 had an extremely strong start. It opened at around $160 million domestically and approximately $312 million worldwide during its opening week. That made it the biggest global opening of 2026 at the time, as well as the biggest opening weekend in Toy Story franchise history. And considering the movie has now gone on to pass the $1 billion mark worldwide, it's safe to say the audience still has a lot of love for these characters. If you liked earlier Toy Story films, then yes, this is very much worth watching. It's emotional, well-crafted, visually impressive, and it gives Jessie a much bigger role while tackling a very relevant issue. Just don't go in expecting it to completely redefine the franchise. It's more of a solid emotional continuation of the Toy Story than something that reaches the heights of the original trilogy. But after 5 movies and more than 30 years, the fact that Pixar can still make audiences care about these characters is still impressive. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.